There's a long tradition in art of trying to capture what can't be held: beauty, memory, grief, and sometimes presence. Artists have always painted more than what they see. They paint what stays with them, what watches from the corners of a room, what refuses to be forgotten. Sometimes it's a painting, sometimes it's a sculpture, so lifelike you almost expect it to blink. Stone and marble, shaped so carefully it feels warm, close enough that you swear you can feel its breath when you stand beside it. These are works that unsettle not because they're violent or grotesque, but because they feel aware. Images people's sense have somehow followed them home. Art that seems to change when no one is looking. And stories where the fear isn't in the canvas or the clay, but in the feeling it leaves behind. Welcome to Haunted by Beauty. This is Haunted by Beauty, Ghost Stories and Makeup. Tonight, rather than a place, I thought I would talk with you about a thing: haunted artwork. After last week's video, which was really heavy and really impacted me, I thought I would do something a little lighter. I mean, this is still spooky, but we're in the studio. I'm not going on any locations for this video. So keeping with the theme of art, I'm going to be doing a look based on something called underpainting. So I've never done this before. Underpainting is where you basically go in with liquid products and do all of your sculpting, and then you go back over it with a powdered layer, and that is supposed to give you a very glowing from within look. So underpainting. And I'm gonna first start out with, usually I would do a primer, but I've got this Morphe prepping and setting spray, so I'm gonna go in with this. Go in with my fan. And then I am going to still do my eyes first. So I'm going to go in with my tape. And I did set my eyes already with some powder in my trusty little container. And so I'm going to just jump right into the first piece of artwork that you'll see right here: the Veiled Virgin. So I do have notes as well. The Veiled Virgin was sculpted in around 1850 by Giovanni Strazza, and the original is currently located in Presentation Convent Museum in Newfoundland, Canada. And Giovanni Strazza was among many artists at the time who were striving to make marble, to transform it. So transform it into skin, into fabric, into a veil. And Giovanni Strazza was said to be like obsessed with getting this right and perfecting this art. And I think he succeeded, as you could see from the piece itself. It looks like she's wearing a veil, but what about that piece is haunted? So people report feeling very sudden reactions when they're around this piece. They feel lightheaded. They feel pressure in their chest. They feel panic, and they feel the urge to step back from the Veiled Virgin. And they say that it feels like she's aware, like that she's a real person. So I think he succeeded in what he was looking to do with that piece. Maybe a little too successful, you might say. So I am going to go ahead and start with my eye look. I am going to do a halo eye. So I'm starting with, have this Morphe palette that has like some really pretty artsy colors. And I'm going to go in with, I think I'll go in with this like tan color first. So using a slightly fluffy brush. Yes, I know I need to wash my brushes. I will do that. I'm going to do my crease. And then I'm going to go in, starting to build up the halo on either side with actually this dark blue.
darkish blue and start to talk about the next piece of artwork. The next piece of artwork is called Man Proposes, God Disposes. And it was painted by Edwin Landseer in 1864. And this artwork, as you'll see, portrays two polar bears tearing apart an Arctic scene, wood, a flag, bones. But what it really is depicting, it's on the theme of the Lost Franklin Arctic expedition of 1845. And ironically enough, 2 weeks ago, I did a video on Elijah Kent Kane, who did 2 unsuccessful expeditions himself to try to find this lost expedition. So I just thought that was interesting that now I'm covering this piece of art like completely unrelated. Like I didn't know I was going to be doing this, but I also don't believe in coincidences, so here we are. So again, as you saw, this is not only a depiction of what possibly could have happened in real life. Possibly polar bears did get to the lost expedition and attack it so viciously, but it's also a testimony or a take on, sort of man's hubris and man's belief that it can conquer anything. And in the end, nature took back the expedition through those polar bears. The painting is in the Royal Holloway University of London. And where it gets interesting is that apparently students feel very uncomfortable around this painting. And there is a story that in the 70s, a student taking exams was sitting underneath the painting and became so distraught, apparently because of the painting, we don't know, that they, trigger warning, they did commit suicide. And in their note, they said it was because of the painting. Is this real? I couldn't find anything to document it. However, from that point on, they cover that painting every year to make sure that the students are not uncomfortable. And I think that that's interesting. There's plenty of urban legends and urban myths, but for the university to go to the extent of actually covering the painting every year makes you think. It makes you pause a little bit, like that there might be a little bit more to it. So let me go ahead, starting my build up my halo. So a halo, again, is just like what it sounds like. It's going to be color on both sides of the lid, leaving a space in between for further color. And you can take it up above into your arch, or your crease rather. And trusty ghost cup, a little thirsty. Cheers. Let me do the other eye, and we'll get into the next piece of artwork soon. There were so many pieces of art I could have covered for this. You could just Google haunted artwork, and so many things come up. I did want to try to cover a couple of things that have not been covered in other videos. So if you do a YouTube search or a Google search, you're going to find a lot of things that are interesting to look at and have interesting stories. I tried to do a mix here of ones that you might not have heard of, some you may have heard of, but yeah, there's an endless supply. And don't get me started on haunted objects. That's probably a whole other video, but yeah. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with, let's see, going to go in with this peachy color in the center, but I am going to be covering it up with this minty green. And then get back that arch a little bit. Don't want that to erase all the way. You really want to be farther back on your brush than what I'm doing. I'm not listening to my own advice. Okay. And then we can talk a little bit about the next piece of artwork. Let me get my arches. I'm not going to do my brows, but I'm going to just go in with a spoolie and clean them up, or just neaten them up a little bit. Spoolie, that's what it is. Little brush thing that you get in your, your mascara. And then I want to go in. I do have some fallout here. Let's get this. You can always go in with some micellar water, which I think I might need actually. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little eyeliner, some dark blue eyeliner. Now, if you want to see a really creepy painting, I'm not covering it because a couple of people have already covered it, but you want to really take a look at this thing. It's called The Hands Resist Him, and it was painted in 1972. And it's a painting. Okay, I'm basically covering it. I'll throw it in. It's a painting of the artist's name. The artist's name is Bill Stoneham, and it's a painting of a little boy. So it's sort of left justified, or in one corner there's a little boy and there's a doll, and then the rest of the painting is sort of open. It's like open space, liminal space, and there's glass behind him, and there's hands. And this one has so many stories. Again, it's covered by quite a few YouTubers. I will throw it up on screen so you can see it. But that one has a fairly eerie story to it. Okay, let me go ahead, and I'm going to go in with my Ultimate Vintage Jean Baby NYX palette and get this really dark blue and set that liner. A little teeny brush. I'm going to go back in with this one and get that green and hit the very center of the halo. Looks a little messy. It's not perfect every time, folks. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit with this little pink and get that arch a little bit more. And then the next painting we're going to talk about is the portrait of Bernardo de Galves. And the artist is unknown. It was painted in the 18th century. And Bernardo de Galves was the namesake of Galveston, Texas. He was a Spanish governor who also he defended New Orleans and played a critical role in the American Revolution. And there are two versions of this painting. One is in New Orleans, and the other one is in the Hotel Galves in Galveston, Texas. And let me just keep going and talking at the same time. This painting it's not a romantic painting. It's not, it's not scary looking like man proposes, God disposes. It's just basically a government official. But there are so many stories about this painting. You get the classic, his eyes follow you. His eyes follow you when you're walking near him. There's also stories of people feeling very uneasy around this painting, which again, it's not something like gory or sad. It's just a guy. It's just a dude with a, government dude. But yeah, there's feelings of unease around this. There's, this sense of dread around the painting. And it's just sort of become a known thing that you must ask permission to take a picture of the painting. Otherwise, you go away with like artifacts in your photo or no picture at all of the painting. And it's just sort of, it's not a rule or anything, but it's just something that's been passed down that you have to ask permission to take a picture of this painting. And people tend to listen to this advice because they already feel, there's my mirror. I'm getting a new mirror. I wanted to stay committed to this one, but it's really annoying me. This is just where like the painting changes the behavior of the people around it. They do ask permission, as silly as it might seem. And I guess they get their photos of the portrait and they come out clear. Okay, let me move along. And now we're going to try this underpainting. So I have this palette of Contour Series palette, and it's basically got your, bronzer / contour. It's got your, I don't know if I'm going to use the foundation colors. I don't know if they really match, but I'm going to use the highlighter. I have a blush that I want to use. So let me go ahead with this and get this placement right. So she's got so many brushes to choose from. I go in with this one for the contour. So she's got her contour here. Here. Where you ordinarily would contour. Oof. Big blob. We'll see if this works, people. I've never tried it, but it's the theme. Down her nose. And she has contour on her forehead. I'm not actually going to do that because you can't see my forehead. What's the point? Okay, so that's the contour. Now, blush. I have this. I used this before. This is She Glam. Go kind of above where you're contouring. Blend that in. Then the highlight. She's got. Let's do this. Let's do Highlight on the chin. Highlight down the nose. Highlight above the blush. Interesting. And then I actually need to hit under my eyes. I've got my eye brightener. Just do a quick hit of that as well. Okay. And then I think you set it. I think you set it with your powder. So I have a velvety powder puff. I'll go in with my Neutrogena Hydro Boost. Yeah, you set it, and then you go back over it with your dry contour, your dry powder, or blush rather. Prime your puff. Just going to go all over. Now we go in with all of our dry products. So I have this cute little blush from, well, first I'll do my bronzer. Good old trusty faithful NYX Buttermelt. Dirty brush. I got it. I know. I know. And then I have this cute blush that I got from the dollar store. Do not sleep on the dollar store. LA Colors. You can have the most expensive things, and you can have dollar store makeup. It's okay. I can get it open. My brother. Here we go. Let's see. I think I'll go down my nose with my NARS pressed powder. And hit my chin. It's very glowy. And then I'm trying to get all my makeup done because then we're going to talk about the last painting, and it's called The Crying Boy. And boy, is it cool. Let me hit under my eyes now. I usually wait to do my under eye makeup. I'm just going to go in with this blue. And another sip of Ghost Cup. Under eye. Next up, mascara, lipstick, setting spray. Then we're done. Then we're going to talk about The Crying Boy. Lipstick. I have this LA Colors again. It's a pinky red. Setting spray. Wow, a little bit bright. Okay. We'll be right back with the finished look and The Crying Boy. Okay, we're back. This is my take on an artist, and we're going to talk about The Crying Boy. The Crying Boy was painted by Bruno Amadio, who also went by Giovanni Braglione. Giovanni Braglione. And this painting was done in let's fix this, the 1950s by this Italian artist, and basically a simple portrait of a child who looks sad, they're crying, maybe they're grieving, we don't know, face covered in tears. Ultimately, reproductions of this painting took off. In the UK alone, by the 1970s and 80s, there were supposedly 50,000 reproductions of this painting. And it was obviously it was in thousands of homes across the United Kingdom alone. And, nondescript. Then something changed. House fires began to be reported. And the stories go that these house fires were in the news. Entire homes were destroyed down to the ground. But the only thing remaining was the crying boy. Now, okay, you may think that's definitely an urban legend. We're talking multiple reports from firefighters witnessing this phenomenon of houses burning down and them finding this painting just sitting untouched in the rubble. People who had the painting and suffered through these fires reported that prior to the fire, they felt uncomfortable around this painting. They reported having relentless nightmares. They said that they had a sense of bad luck that clung to them and clung to their house, and the feeling that nothing felt right while that painting was in their home. So right around the 1980s, there was sort of like this, you also had sort of the satanic panic around that time. This wasn't necessarily part of that, but it didn't help. The Sun, the British newspaper, did a series of articles about the crying boy, and they wound up putting out a call for anyone who had a painting and didn't want it anymore, that they could send it to them. And reportedly, they received thousands of copies of this painting of the crying boy. And ultimately, they got so many of them that they needed to destroy that on Halloween night of 1985, they burned all of these paintings in a pit. So that was the only way they could get rid of all of these copies. From what I understand, Zach Bagans has copies of the painting in his museum in Las Vegas. So, if you were so inclined and wanted to see them, other than what I've shown, you could go see them in person. But again, it's just, this random picture of a kid crying. No one knows what started it. This is just this phenomenon that's been reported. So what's really stuck with me about all of these stories isn't, it isn't like the paintings themselves. It's what people do around them. So with the veiled lady, they step back. With the man proposes, God disposes, they cover it up. With the portrait of Bernardo de Galves, they ask permission to take a photo. And when it comes to the crying boy, they literally do anything to get rid of it, including mailing it into the Sun to get it burned. So it's that phenomenon where people are reacting to this artwork that I find interesting. And this has happened across different countries, different decades, if not centuries, for some of this work. And it starts to feel less like a coincidence and more like a pattern. So what do you think? Whether you believe in haunted artwork or not, did you have a feeling when you looked at the pieces when I showed them on screen? Have you seen any of these in person? Please tell me down below what you're thinking. I'm excited to hear what you have to think and your reactions. And do you believe art can be haunted? Stay haunted. stay haunted, and stay beautiful.